On February 4th, in the quiet village of Yalu, a story that was all about hope and ambition took a tragic, irreversible turn. We're going to talk about how a promising football career was cut short, not on the field, but inside the one place that should have been a sanctuary, his home.
It all started with a simple request in a kitchen. But in a home where tensions were already simmering right beneath the surface, that one small thing escalated with just shocking speed. It led to a moment that would tear this family apart. Forever.
And he was just 25 years old. I mean, think about that. That's an age for building, for dreaming, for hitting the peak of your powers. An entire future, just gone in an instant.
By 1 a.m., Silas Abongana, a defender for the Kakamega Homeboyz football club, was pronounced dead. And the cause? A violent confrontation with his own brother. So let's really unpack this. How does a family dispute end in such an awful tragedy?
To really understand the tragedy, you first have to understand the man. So who was Silas Abongana, and what did he represent, not just to his team, but to his entire community? On the pitch, Silas was a rock, a dependable defender who could read the game with this quiet intelligence. But in his community in Western Kenya, a professional footballer is so much more than just an athlete. They are a living, breathing symbol of hope. Proof that there's a way out of a life of uncertainty.
And he'd risen from the local grounds all the way to the professional stage. But while his public life was this clear success story, his private life, well, it was getting more and more complicated. A deeply personal decision he made was about to stir up emotions that had been simmering for a long, long time.
So, what was this tension all about? Well, it's centered on a classic family drama, bringing a new partner into an already established family. It was a move that, unfortunately, created a really deep and painful rift.
And you can see the divide right here. On one side, you have his former wife, the mother of his two kids, someone formally recognized by the family. But on the other side, there's the new woman he had just brought home. And according to his mother, the family just did not acknowledge her as a wife. And that right there, that distinction is so crucial. In many households, labels like wife versus girlfriend carry immense weight. They define legitimacy, they define respect, and they define belonging. So this lack of acceptance, it wasn't just some minor detail. It was the fault line running straight through the family home.
Okay, so let's turn to the night it all happened. Let's see how all this background tension just exploded over something that seemed, on the surface, completely trivial.
It all began with this simple request. Silas's new partner asked for firewood, which was a little odd since the family mostly used gas. His younger brother, Denmark, questioned her about it. She apparently felt disrespected and went and told Silas. And what started as a simple question in the kitchen, it just spiraled into a heated fight between brothers. Pride, loyalty, emotion, it all just took over. And in the heat of that moment, Denmark allegedly picked up a club.
And this is the thing. It wasn't a scuffle or some long, drawn-out fight. Family accounts describe one powerful, sudden strike to the head. A single action with a completely irreversible outcome. In that 1 second, absolutely everything changed.
What followed was just a race against time. You can just imagine the shock and the panic in that house turning into this frantic rush to the hospital. But the head injury was catastrophic. The doctors fought to save him, but despite everything they did, at around 1 a.m., Silas Abongana was gone. So the physical confrontation was over, but the story was far from it. Silas's death exposed all these unseen wounds and deep resentments that had clearly been festering inside this family for some time.
In the chaos right after, Denmark reportedly just vanished, which sparked a manhunt. The family, caught between grieving one son and fearing for another, had to give statements to the police. A few days later, Denmark was found and arrested, the prime suspect in his own brother's murder.
And this is the question that everyone, the investigators, the community, was left asking. Could something so small, so insignificant, really lead to such a devastating outcome? Or was the firewood just the spark that finally ignited a much, much larger fire?
When you start to peel back the layers, it looks like several things were probably simmering. Sibling rivalry is a powerful force. Silas was the rising star while his brother was still at home. There were even hints of disputes over family land, which is a deeply emotional issue in that region. You add all that to the tension over the new partner, and you've got all the ingredients for a tragedy. And that's the heartbreaking irony in all of this. Silas built his whole career on anticipating danger, on defending against threats. But the deadliest threat he would ever face wasn't under the stadium lights. It was in his own home, from his own family.
The story of Silas Abongana is just a tragic reminder of how quickly family disputes can spiral out of control. It forces us to ask some really uncomfortable questions about the grudges we hold and the tensions we just let simmer. It's a story about football, yes, but it's really about the fragility of family and the battles that are fought not on a pitch, but inside our own walls.